Hola, clase. Well, before we begin our next concept, let's take a moment to read a beautiful story called Viva el Amor. In other words, how to say we love each other and other nice things. Now, clase, as you read this story called Viva el Amor, I would like you to pay close attention to the word say. You're going to see say in various places. And when you're done, try the translation. What do you think these 5 sentences mean? They all contain a say. They're very short sentences, but what do you think they mean? Now you remember reflexive verbs. We've gone through reflexive verbs many times. And one of the pronouns for reflexive verbs is say, for the él, ella, usted form and the ellos, ellas, ustedes form. But remember, a reflexive verb indicates that a subject of a sentence does the action to itself. For example, Luis y Marta se miran en el espejo. In other words, they look at themselves in the mirror. And there they are. They're looking at themselves. But now notice this say. Luis y Marta se miran. Now they're looking at each other. So we have another use of say here. And what do we call it? Well, we'll find out in a second. This say is called the reciprocal say, which expresses a shared or reciprocal action between two or more people or things. The word say here will mean each other or to each other, one another or to one another. So please remember, the most important reciprocal action in the world is el amor, or love. Now, because a reciprocal action involves more than one person or thing, the form of the verb must be plural, and it has to agree with the pronoun. So if you have nos, you must have the verb in the nosotros form. If you have say, you must have the verb in the ellos, ellas, or ustedes form. Let's take a look. Cuando nos vimos en la calle, nos abrazamos. This is a reciprocal action. When we see each other, or in this case, when we saw each other in the street, we hugged each other. So we're using nos as a reciprocal action. The verb has to agree. It has to be in the nosotros form. Nos ayudamos cuando usamos la computadora. We help each other. Once again, we're using nos as a reciprocal action. Take a look at 2 more. Ustedes se van a encontrar en el cibercafé, ¿no? You are going to meet each other. So we now have say. Here's the verb form right here, but the verb we're using is considered a reciprocal verb, but the say is the action that indicates that it is reciprocal. One more. Las amigas se saludaron, se besaron. The reciprocal action, they greeted each other and kissed one another. Please remember that in the Hispanic world, it's perfectly fine to kiss each other on the cheek. It's perfectly fine and very common. Here in the United States, we may not do that, but in the Hispanic world, it is common to greet each other by kissing one side or 2 sides of the cheek. So here's a list of common verbs that are used reciprocally. In other words, these actions are done to each other. For example, abrazar, ayudar, besar, encontrar, saludar, querer. Here it is. querer, to love each other, and ver, to see each other. And so now it's time to do a little activity. So class A, now I would like you to try these sentences right here. We have two verbs, escribir and saludar. Use them in the present tense, in the present, make it easy. And you're going to either use say or nos, depending on the subject. Make sure that the verb agrees with either say or nos, and go on to the next two. And the next two are ver and querer. Remember, once again, present tense, just to make it easier for you at this time. And then you're going to either use the say or the nos, depending on the subject. Ok, muchas gracias. Nos vemos en clase.